If you enjoyed beating the Ravens, smacking them around for 4 quarters, like today's video. I would love to get over 200 likes. Haven't done that in a while here on the channel. So if you're excited to be a part of Victory Monday, hit that thumbs up icon. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's show, we're going to run through some overreactions from Saturday because I'm still going to, bathe in that victory for a little bit longer. Plus, we got some injury news and some other nuggets to hit on throughout the show. But let's start with some overreactions, starting with this one right here. Joe Woods, is he saving his job after keeping the Ravens to 3 points? I'm going to say it's an overreaction. I just don't think we can go off of one game against the Ravens and go, hey, Joe Woods might be sticking around a little bit. Plus, I want to add this. Beating Tyler Huntley, that can't be the measuring stick. That can't be a factor going into decision-making about whether or not you want to make a huge change to your head coach personnel, right, to your coaching personnel. There's no way Tyler Huntley is going to be the thing that moves the needle and Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry go, that Tyler Huntley guy, that's one good Pro Bowl quarterback. The fact that we limit him to 3 points, I think you have to hold on to Joe Woods moving forward. Now, this Browns defense has definitely turned around the last month or so. I mean, I showed this yesterday on the show, but look at the defense in the last 4 games compared to the first 10. Now, I get it. It's a difference of 6 games, but points allowed has dropped off a mountain cliff, 26.9 to 14.2. I mean, the Browns' efficiency on defense, which I really have no idea how it's calculated, but it sounds super cool, was basically dead last in the middle of the season. It's now middle of the pack. It's not a finished product, but there has definitely been a resurgence on this defense. I think one key part of it, kind of Perrion Winfrey. How about the rookie who, beginning of the season, just couldn't get out of his own way, right? Disciplinary issues, couldn't get on the field for the most part. Then he crashes a scooter into a lamppost or whatever in downtown Cleveland. But now he gets his first NFL sack, teaming up with Myles Garrett, and hopefully the start of, this interior defensive line is a major focal point next year, or this upcoming offseason. But at least Perrion Winfrey can maybe be penciled in as, hey, this is a potential starter. Can't say the same for Tommy Togiai or Jordan Elliott or Taven Bryan. I also want to give a quick shout out to Denzel Ward because the Warden had his best game all season long. Again, when it comes against Tyler Huntley and what is a receiving room filled with absolutely nobodies on Baltimore, you kind of got to put it in perspective a little bit, but still, PFF graded him 90.7 overall, coverage grade of 91.1. So Winfrey and Ward, 2 guys that were definitely down in the dumps earlier this year. Hopefully they can boost off this Ravens game and build some momentum and end the year on a high note. Even if it doesn't mean this team makes the postseason, I'd much rather see Denzel Ward end the season going, hey, I know it wasn't perfect, but the last 4 or 5 games, well, that's some of your best football we've seen. Now, here's my big question for you, though. Is your mind made up on Joe Woods? Are you black and white like, hey, no matter what happens, I want him out? Because, yeah, if Joe Woods' defense pitches a shutout the next 3 games, yeah, he's probably not going to get fired. It's probably not going to happen. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment and say, maybe you should hold on to Joe Woods because of one great game against Tyler Huntley and the Ravens at home. I've just seen too much bad to let this one game or even a couple good games erase what was a debacle in Atlanta and so much more, the ending of the Jets game. All right, next overreaction. Let's talk about number 4, Deshaun Watson. Has he arrived? Is he him? This is accurate. This is not an overreaction. This is spot on. Deshaun Watson, ladies and gentlemen, is in the building. And Browns fans, we've got our first real franchise quarterback in decades. Week 15 against Baltimore, I know the stats aren't super pretty, but this is also a top 10, top 5 Ravens defense. 161 yards and 1 touchdown might not jump out to you, but that rating, that's the best we've seen through 3 games so far at 91.5. And he made throws like this, where he's got play action and Amari Cooper, who's circled in yellow, And look around him. He's got a safety above him. He's got a corner beside him and a linebacker hanging underneath. And then there's the sideline all the way to the left. That's 4 defenders, basically. And Amari Cooper is in the middle of this, like, Bermuda Triangle. And what does Deshaun Watson do? He throws an absolute laser beam because he can't throw up a duck because it's going to get picked off, or Amari Cooper's going to run out of space and be out of bounds. He throws a beautiful pass, and it's plays like this where you go, that is why Andrew Berry gave up everything for Deshaun Watson, because there are very few quarterbacks in the world who can make a throw like that. And as the cobwebs continue to get shed, we're going to see more and more throws like that. Whereas a defense, you go, what are we supposed to do? We've got him pinned between a corner, a safety, and the sideline, and he throws an absolute dart, and it's just unguardable. So, Deshaun Watson, everyone, bring it in for a second. Lower your voice. We don't need to stir up any Ravens or Steelers fans at your place of work, but the Browns have their franchise quarterback. I'm not worried about jinxing it. I'm not. And I'm not even worried about this being old takes exposed in a couple of weeks, months, years, or whatever. Deshaun Watson has arrived, and it's only going to get better. All right, we're going to get to more in today's show in just a moment, but we had a watch party for this game as always. We'll have another watch party this upcoming Christmas Eve against the Saints, and I want to give some shout-outs to people that made the watch party just that much better. Chris Smith, the biggest Browns fan from Alabama, the biggest Super Chat MVP. William Elliott took home the title for the most amount of Super Chats. The live chat chief. I am calling this the person that's just sort of the director of the chat. There's a lot of good nominations each week, but cool guy called Zone was by far in the chat active from the first play to the last play. The Noti Gang, first person in the chat, Kimberly Hurst. And then the chat troll, Music Channel. He was grumpy all game long. He did not like me, but he's going to get a shout out because he was the biggest troll in the chat. All right, third overreaction to get to now. Cade York, is this a concern? The misses. TBD. It's kind of the cowardly answer because I'm not going to go one way or the other because I think it's too early to go one way or the other. You know, on one hand, he's just a rookie. I don't think it's wise to look into his first season and learning what it's like to kick downwind from Lake Erie. But also we have to acknowledge the fact that he has been bad. He has not been good. I'm sorry, Josh Miller. I hope that jersey is okay long term, but 73% field goal percentage, that's like dead last amongst kickers. 22 of 30. Now, what's a little bit more interesting is what Cade York has done home versus away. I saw more for you, Cleveland, on Twitter kind of get at this, and I wanted to put it on screen for you all here. I mean, what he's done at home is atrocious. 60% field goal percentage, 9 of 15. But on the road, away from the lake effect and kicking at Lake Erie and what is a very notorious difficult place to kick at, he's 86.7%. So clearly there is still a big adjustment needed to kick at home. The concern now is, you know, half of the games, majority of the games, 8 games, 9 games a year are going to be at home. So he's got to figure out how to kick in a very difficult place to kick. And when you're picked in the 4th round, the idea is, hey, this is going to give us a nice inside track and kind of fast track and speed line to our next Phil Dawson of someone who can kick at home and can kick in Cleveland and can give us a huge advantage when opposing kickers come to town and they don't even know how to begin to read the wind or which flag to look at and whatnot at the top of the goalpost. So hopefully Cade York can smooth this out over the next 1 home game, and then it's 2 on the road after that. Now, I do want to share kind of some food for thought, if you will, devil's advocate. Phil Dawson, a legend. He had his fair share of struggles his first season with the Browns in 1999, 8 for 12. So Phil Dawson clearly needed some time to learn and adjust to what it's like to kicking by the lake, and hopefully that's all it is for Cade York. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not a bit concerned on just the variety of types of misses. Like, I'm not a special teams nerd, but he's shanking some kicks. He's pushing some to the right. He's pushing some to the left. He is basically filling his entire bingo sheet of different ways to miss a kick every single home game, it feels like. All right, next up on the show, let's get to the latest injury news on Jadeveon Clowney, John Johnson, kind of get you guys caught up on that front before we send you packet. Now, before we do, I have to share with you all today's sportsbook partner, BetUS. Well, if you heard me talk about them before, you know the deal. Chatsports.com/bet. When you go to that link and you use promo code Browns125, you get hooked up with a 125% deposit bonus. I'm not going to talk about betting on the Browns this week against the Saints. I like these odds, though. How about some Super Bowl odds? Because I think betting on the Super Bowl before the season, you get it right, like bravo to you. But that's kind of, it's a crapshoot, if you will. And so how about betting on the Super Bowl right now, where you got a better idea of who's who the frauds are, who's legit, and you're going to get better odds right now than you will once the playoffs start. And I don't know how much is going to change about the Bills, the Eagles, or the Chiefs over the next couple of weeks. So if you've got a good feeling about who's going to get the Super Bowl trophy this year, make your picks right now, because the odds are only going to get worse for you as we get closer to the playoffs, and the payout's not going to be as good. On to the injury news now. Jadeveon Clowney, he left Saturday's game with a concussion. Concussion protocol is always a very unpredictable thing. I mean, for example, Denzel Ward was in it for quite some time, and then we saw Russell Wilson have no idea what state he was in last week, and he was cleared by concussion protocol within 3 to 4 days. So it's very person-by-person, case-by-case basis, but that is the latest on Clowney. If he's unable to go, more Alex Wright, more Chase Winovich, and hopefully Alex Wright can kind of follow Perion Winfrey's footsteps of ending the season on a high note, because the other defensive end position for 2023 is wide open. John Johnson, first, happy birthday. It is his birthday. Spam HBD in the chat for the guy. But he left Week 15 with a thigh contusion. He got a tough hit from J.K. Dobbins' helmet right in the upper thigh, so that's got to hurt. And it's unfortunate, especially because it happened to come in his best game of the season. Forced fumble, a fumble recovery. Bit more optimistic about Johnson's ability to play this upcoming Saturday against the Saints, but that is definitely something to monitor just throughout the week once we get the injury reports in. Now, the other thing to monitor for John Johnson is I think he really has to play for a couple of reasons. One, he's got to show that he should be returning next season. Johnson right now has a bit of an easy out for his contract, at least from the Browns' perspective, following this year. If Cleveland were to release him after June 1st, his dead cap hit is only $3.7 million. And the cap savings, it's quite a bit of coin right there. So I think there is a good reason to believe the Browns might be moving on from John Johnson. So if you're him, I'm sure you'd much rather be on the field and make one last push in case for you to be alongside Grant Delpit next season. And finally, let's talk about Sammy Watkins really briefly towards the end of the show. The Packers, in a surprising move with Monday Night Football coming up, released the former first-round pick. He's going to go on waivers, and I've already had Ryan reach out to me and some others about, hey, should the Browns go out and sign Sammy Watkins? I'm going to say no. One, he sucks. So that's probably a good reason why you don't want to sign someone. Why bring someone on that's just not good? The other reason is I want to see whatever reps maybe he was going to get. I'd want to see those snaps go to Michael Woods, Dalen Baldwin, for crying out loud. The UDFA, he had 2 grabs on Saturday. David Bell when he comes back. I don't want Sammy Watkins taking away any development snaps from this young wide receiver core that I would love to see grow and take a big leap forward next season. All right, before we let you guys go, if you made it to the end of the video, this is really for the real ones, the MVPs, the OGs of the show. Spam FPIT in the comments section. That way I can go down to the comments and go, oh, this guy watches all the way through. He doesn't flake out after 3 or 4 minutes. So appreciate all of you who are part of the end of the video squad. Signing off. Seeing you guys later.